There has been much discussion lately about cheating in Battlefield 5. Whether you think it's a rampant problem, or that it's something that maybe people need to learn to deal with, there is no doubt in my mind that it is something that is spoiling the gaming experience for me personally. Now, I did make a video on cheating fairly recently, maybe around a month or 6 weeks ago, but I've come across way more cheaters since then, and it seems as if the problem is getting more and more prevalent as the player numbers either drop or cheaters just want to get on the game and start to find ways of actually playing without getting caught. Now, that was the problem we always had in Battlefield 4 and 1. It wasn't so much the sheer number of cheaters, whilst there were quite a few, especially on official servers in BF4. The problem was that they wouldn't get banned, so they'd be able to play all the way up to level 140, and then eventually they'd get booted off, but they'd have had so much fun over that time and ruined so many experiences for players. Now, in the background, I was playing on Devastation of Rotterdam with my friend, and as you can tell, I've just quit out. Now, I don't know if you noticed, there was a guy who killed me right at the start. Manic Skeleton was his name, and he was a cheater, or at least I suspected him of being one. And often when playing Battlefield 5, you'll get killed by a player, and you won't be too certain whether they're a cheater or not, especially with all of the server issues, networking issues, stuttering, bugs, all the stuff that Battlefield 5 has right now. It quite often can be tricky to work out whether a player is cheating or not, or whether it's just the game. So sometimes you have to go and check through spectator mode to make sure before reporting them and being certain that they were actually cheating. Now, this guy, I was pretty certain he was cheating. I'm quite good at telling whether players are cheating or not. Once or twice I have let a top play sneak through that may have been a cheater. Usually if I'm not certain, then I don't like to accuse people of cheating because I feel as if that is slightly unfair. This player though ticked all the boxes for a cheater, and the interesting thing was that when I went to look at his stats, he'd only played one other day before now. This was his only play session this week, and only his second play session since installing this game. So he's cheated once before a couple of weeks ago, not been caught for it, come back, and now he's cheating again. Now you look at this and it's not too crazy, you know, he's just got a Lewis gun, he's shooting people, he's missing a lot of bullets, and he's getting some kills. But then you just noticed him snap to the right slightly. That was maybe something to be suspicious of. But as you watch this footage, it starts to get more and more obvious, and towards the end of the footage, he changes some settings and just goes for full aimbot, wall hack, and everything to go along with it. So how can you tell if he's cheating? First of all, he was shooting me instantly, he wasn't missing bullets. Sometimes when you're against a cheater, they just don't tend to miss at all. Secondly, he was killing me virtually instantly, so he was locking onto me, and that was not fun to play against either. And thirdly, he was tracking me through walls and shooting me before I could even pull the trigger. At some points, I was pre-firing corners, expecting to find a player there. That was very suspicious as you saw him snap upwards to another player through the wall. But sometimes you just have to think, well, maybe this guy isn't cheating, maybe he's really good. But he's a level 16, and he's just been cheating so much so far. Now, my friend's still on the enemy team. He's got my clan tag, ARMR, and he got killed by this cheater, Manic Skeleton, quite a few times. And he said one of the main things that you can tell with a cheater when you die to him is the fact that he shoots you so early. Now, good players, really good players, will always react quickly. They'll always see you, and they'll always know where players could possibly be. But this guy is obviously wall hacking because he just can see everything through walls, and that gives him that advantage. Link that into the fact he's got aimbot, and right now it doesn't look like he has it, but you do notice, like here, yes, he sees the gun of the person, and yes, that was just a normal kill. But there are other times, like there, where he snaps around to the side and continues to shoot, and he was obviously shooting that guy inside. That the cheats are incredibly obvious, and we'll slow down a couple of clips in a minute just to show you how obvious they are. Now, my friend Netherworld was playing as well, and as I said, he's quite a good player, so you can usually have a good idea of whether somebody's cheating or not. So spectating him and watching him play, if you actually go and spectate this guy, some people still accuse Nether of cheating, and I can't quite understand why they do that. The guy, as you see, just died there. Normally, cheaters don't die like that, but he still manages to go maybe 70 for 10 or 70 for 5. He's a very, very good player. The difference is he doesn't have these call signs of a cheater. He doesn't snap to players, he doesn't track through walls, he doesn't instantly headshot every single player or never miss with a body shot. This cheater is not getting headshots. He has a cheat that enables him to go for center mass and grab kills that way. Potentially even a damage hack towards the end of the video as he starts one-shotting players. This is Nether again. This is definitely not a cheater trying to track through debris like that, pushing around the corner, looking out for enemies, going for a quick revive. This is not something a cheater would be doing. A cheater would be looking to his left and tracking players through the wall. Obviously, you can see on the minimap now that there aren't a whole load of players around Nether. One there that he manages to take out, takes him quite a lot of bullets, and then you can tell by the minimap that he's about to get absolutely destroyed because there's a flood of enemy players. A cheater would have already taken most of these out through the wall. So yeah, it's pretty easy to tell the difference between the two. So moving back on to Manic Skeleton, let's just see what he's doing now. Now that is stonewall cheating, and yes, maybe the spectator mode is pretty buggy and sometimes it won't give a good idea of exactly where a player is aiming, but the way he's snapping around there is just screaming lock on for me. Now you watch him come through this corner, there's not many players in front of him, but they are up there through the smoke. Instantly, locks on, takes him down. There's also a player behind the door, he doesn't see him, but his aimbot and wall hack does the job for him, and he gets him taken down. Again, through the smoke, he's actually shooting through a wall there to take players out, and this is where you really do see cheaters show their true colours, because there's nothing they can do, there's no one close to them, they have to use the cheats in order to keep their kill streak up, and that's really sad. So what's the deal with cheaters anyway? I feel as if it's one of the worst things you can do in a multiplayer FPS, and the reason for this is a multiplayer FPS is a place for you to prove your skills versus other players. Even if you're a bad player, it's a place to have fun, it's a place to work as a team and try and cap objectives and be the best you can be, or simply have fun. Now with cheating, you are almost trying to trick other players into thinking you're a good player. That's the whole point of it. Maybe they think this sort of stuff is fun, but I really can't see how you'd get enjoyment out of cheating against other players. There's nothing to gain from it. In fact, you should feel bad about it because you can't do the stuff without the cheats that you're using at the minute, and that's really, really sad. So there has been some mention recently of DICE introducing private servers. Of course, this will be coming at the end of the year, probably towards September, I'd have thought. With private servers coming in, this is the sort of stuff that will be stamped out pretty much immediately on those custom servers, because if somebody's cheating on my server, they get banned. And banning a player like this makes the experience better for everybody else. We saw it in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1, and now we will see it once again in Battlefield 5. There are some other things that DICE could do to remove cheaters like this. I think having a report button in-game where if enough people report you, you get kicked. The only issue with that is that good players would also receive kicks and bans when they don't really need to. Say for example you do really well and you're going 50 for 5, a lot of people would call you a cheater even if you're not, and then you'd be subject to that vote kick. Not exactly perfect. Something else you could have is potentially a KPM or KD or even accuracy kicker that would do the job of removing players that are breaking the rules essentially. So if you're getting a 50% accuracy or above, the game would flag you up, and then if you start to get a load of kills, and then if you start to get consistently high KD, especially as a low level player, you might be kicked that way. I'm sure there are ways of getting around this, and essentially the easiest way to get around it is for people to report and DICE to actually take a look at the reasoning for the report and then to investigate the player and then to ban them, essentially linking that cheating account to a hardware ban so they can't buy another account and play on the same computer. That is what I'd like to see. Will we see it? Probably not. EA have just released a new website where you can actually report players. You can go in and you can attach files and report players, essentially trying to reduce the amounts of toxicity in the game. This also includes cheating, but other things such as people who are typing things in chat which are offensive and other things along those lines. There is some really, really obvious cheating as he's just shooting players through the wall. Again, he picks up a kill on my friend in a second who complained that he was just being instantly shot around a corner. So not exactly perfect. Getting killed consistently by a cheater, but we were doing it for the video, so thanks for that. The weird thing about this Manic Skeleton player, and it really confused me a little bit whilst I was watching it is that he's almost trying to play like a normal player and get away with the cheats. And that's one of the worst things you can have on this game. They're playing as if the game is a normal game of Conquest and they just have a little bit of extra help to get them to the top of the scoreboard. And for the most part, they didn't have that impressive of a score. It was maybe 40 for 5, something like that. Yes, top of the scoreboard, but not too incredibly high. Sometimes cheaters will go 100 for 0 almost instantly, and then you know they're a cheater and everybody stops spawning in. So this guy's almost trying to get away with it, and for the most part it works because his account hasn't been banned last time I checked. Now, people will have reported him. Lots of people in chat did accuse him of being a cheater, and towards the end of the game he did step up his cheats, as I mentioned before. He starts to go for more headshots and he really starts to rack up a lot of kills. So potentially this could be something that gets him in a bit of trouble and the game does ban him. But as I said, I've looked back and he's a terrible player who uses cheats and hasn't yet been banned off the game. So let me know in the comments what you think of players like this. This was just a bit of a live commentary, taking a look at one of these cheaters, one of these scummy players that really ruins the game for everybody else without really offering too much in the way of an apology. And DICE really need to up their game in removing cheaters, especially as the player count starts to get lower, because there are less servers to choose from, there are less maps, there are less modes that I want to play, and really you need to have less cheaters so more servers are playable. And without RSP here right now, there is nothing we can do as players. It's down to EA and DICE to sort it out. Bring RSP today, or at least have custom server rotations with dedicated server admins. Even if you just pick them as community members that are trusted, I can deal with that up until the point where RSP comes out. Either way, it's got to be sorted, because this, on top of all the bugs that we've already got, is enough to stop playing the game for sure. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy, I suppose you probably didn't because it's cheater footage, but still, let me know your opinions down in the comments and I'll catch you in the next video.